Can you hear that? Can you hear the good stuff?
I got it. There it is. Oh, yeah.
Fantasy football, fantasy.
I'm scratching. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
When Eli comes in with that bass drop.
Yeah.
That feeling when Eli.
When Eli. Oh, my God.
Good evening, Internet and Josh.
Hi. Let me take my keys out of my pocket. There we go.
Welcome to the Week 7 7 weeks in a row episode of the Fantasy Football podcast show. Second week in a row live.
Feels like we just started this 7 weeks ago.
We're on a good pace, I think, to get to an 8th week.
Well, we got to get to 7 before 8, so
we're already at 7. We started it. We can end the episode now, and it counts.
That's true. We can just technically we did it. Contractually, we fulfilled our obligation.
We had that bonus episode last week.
That's true. That was fun. It was nerve-wracking, but fun. I was a little afraid at the end.
I was not because of the stream or because we thought we would be stupid or bad at streaming.
Yeah,
it was a scary fourth quarter.
I was convinced the Eagles were going to lose. I was convinced of it. So
it had all the telltale signs of
an Eagles loss.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm even more worried for this week's Monday Night Football game.
I'm a little nervous. I mean, I don't know. This game's more important than last week. So I think if the Eagles win this game, they're 3-0, so they can only split the division, right?
Right.
So I feel like they need to win it. I know when you're 5-1, like you don't need to, but like, man, would that be sweet? Sweeping the Redskins. Oh God, I love it. I just want them to beat all of them.
Yeah, there's nothing better than defeating the main rivals. And while Dallas will always be a super rival and the Giants will always be a rival just because of the history there, the Washington team, I would say over the last 5 to 7 years has been like the real, like, these guys.
They're a pain in the ass to play. They're a super pain in the dick, so.
Woo, a pain in the dick.
Pain in my whole dick.
A little burning urethra.
My whole region of dick is Washington. That's what it feels like. That's what I'll be doing on Monday.
So I think it's safe to say we're not going to live stream during that game just because there's too much riding on it, and I don't want the emotions to be flowing for the world to see.
Yeah, I don't want to like throw something through your television on live internet. I wouldn't do that. But
I might. No, I wouldn't. I'm still paying it off, so
yeah,
I definitely would not
don't break it yet.
But welcome to the new episode here. How did your fantasy football go after we watched the Eagles win? Let's hear about how your teams did this week.
My teams, in our league, not great. I was favored to win, and I was not winning pretty much all day on Sunday. And then my like the chance meter, right? It's like it shows you the percentage of chance you have to win.
Sure.
Was at like 50, and then it was at like 10, and then it went to 30, and then it went to 5, and then it went to 30 again, and then I lost by 13 points, mainly because Denver shit the bed, and their defense, which is normally great, was terrible. So I lost in our league by like 13 points or something stupid. And which is like better than losing by like 2 points, but so that sucks. But I won in my other league. I'm on a 3-game win streak in my other league, so
nice.
And it's because I picked up that Deshaun Watson. Oh, and the Baltimore defense scored 26 points for me. So That's pretty good.
Yeah, I stupidly cut them this last week in
Yeah.
favor of the Washington defense because I bought my own advice in one league.
Yeah.
And that was dumb. But the
Not-
Washington didn't end up hurting me. Well, I really thought I was going to lose because I have Aaron Rodgers in our Internet Stars League that you and I are in together with some other YouTubers. And I was really worried. 0.78 points he put up, and I was concerned.
0.78.
0.78. But as
That's
the week,
a lot of points.
the week went on, I had Antonio Brown save my butt. I had Cameron Brate save my butt.
Your boy Brate, dude. You love him.
Hey, man, he's hot. He's on fire. We're going to talk about him later on the show today. We have some reader questions. But, yes. I went 1-1.
Yeah, me too.
So, but I'm winning in the league, the Internet League, which I care about to a degree because we're in it.
Right.
The other league is like my lifelong league, and I'm losing, and I'm very upset.
Oh, yeah. I care more about our league, I guess. Mainly because the other league is like, it's Mel's league, and like Mel's super nice, so I don't mind losing to her and her friends and people that we know. Like it's not like I feel like I have to like prove anything. But in this league, I kind of like I talk a lot of shit and I lose all the time. So I feel like I should maybe win a few games in this league, like every now and then.
Okay. And you're talking about Mel Gray 8, a frequent interactor with the show.
Like, I don't mind losing in that league.
I forgot to leave open the page again so I could see any actual live comments dropping.
Oh, I forgot to do that too. I'm not going to do it.
I'll do it just in case people are watching. They are. Hey, oh man, we got some comments already. I'm watching and driving. Don't die.
Yeah, why would no?
Ahoy hoy! I'll be home for the next hour. Good. Subscription added. Nice. Thank you.
Nice.
Please do subscribe. We're at like 80 subscribers now.
Oh,
we're averaging 10 people per episode subscriptions.
That's awesome.
That means by the time we get to week 10, we could actually have 100 subscribers and get to name this channel a real channel name.
Oh man, that's our #1 goal. That's our stretch goal.
That's our stretch goal. If we get to 100 subscribers, we're going to name the channel.
And you get to go to it and have it as a name.
And it will be memorable and not just a crappy Bitly link I send out every once in a while. But thank you guys for tuning in. And sad news today, Josh. No listener emails.
What the hell?
No listener emails. We had one email, but it wasn't. It was just more of a comment with regards to some of our sponsors.
Yeah.
So that is not necessarily a listener email that is to be shared. It is a private email. And but next time, don't forget football fantasy pod at gmail.com. If you have anything you'd like to say in more than 140 or 280 characters, if you are one of those people.
Not me.
For whatever reason, neither of our personal accounts have it, but the fantasy podcast Twitter.
I don't think the continue
was like the first thing I ever saw. It got 280 characters, and I just like writing out 280 letter things that make no sense at all.
I'm trying. Let me look and see if continue. I don't think continue has it, so that's pretty impressive. Nope, continue doesn't have it.
It's so weird. And what's weird is that we have it on Twitter, but TweetDeck still has not updated to let me use all 280 characters. So if you see a big long tweet, you know that I'm really putting in the work because I use Twitter in a browser.
Oh my god.
Think about it.
God.
Think about it.
Think about it.
All right, well, that brings us up to the week 7 lead-in. This week's hashtag was week 7-11.
Yes, great hashtag.
Got some great listener questions for that. But the week 7 lead-in, delivered fresh by Kevin Storer Distribution, servicing the greater Harrisonburg, Bridgewater, and Mount Crawford, Virginia area. Bringing you first The Wendy's waiver wire snags you want. Right now, get your giant junior bacon cheeseburger at Wendy's for a limited time at participating restaurants. Fresh beef available in the contiguous United States and Alaska.
Great. Is week 11 also going to be hashtag week 711?
Ooh, I don't know.
Week 711-2.
Week 7. No, because if you put any character that's not like
it breaks it.
So it would look not right.
It would look dumb, yeah.
But the Wendy's waiver wire snags you up, brought to you by Wendy's. Of course, this week again, we are reminding everyone to stock up on your Cowboys running backs.
Just in case.
Just in case, because suspended last week, Ezekiel Elliott got a temporary restraining order.
So that's 2 weeks,
on his ex-boyfriend, the Commissioner Roger Goodell.
Yeah, ex-boyfriend, indeed. This breakup story is something out of One Tree Hill over here, man.
Woo! One Tree Hill, dropping that C-dub knowledge.
CWWB!
They got a temporary restraining order that will delay for like another 14 days or something like that.
So it's 2 weeks. I don't know,
he's playing this week.
Yeah, sure.
But Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden, if you can get them both and you have Zeke, get them both. If you can't get both, lean towards Morris.
I would agree with that.
Now that's my and Josh's take, just because of the workload we've seen so far. But you're going to see a lot of talk about Darren McFadden still somehow supplanting Alfred Morris and Alfred Morris being the backup. I don't know why that is.
They love that talk. They like to talk about Darren McFadden as if he's going to come back somehow and be like a starter again. I don't know why. It's the Cowboys, right? So like that's like a Cowboys thing. Like they like to talk about anything that has to do with the Cowboys, especially over on the ESPN channel. They love the Cowboys talk. So, but yeah, I would say like Morris is going to I mean, he's better. He's a better running back, so I don't know. Logically, you would think, but
you would think that. But that's our advice there. We've said it last week. We'll say it again this week. There's nothing more we could say until something actually happens with this Ezekiel Elliott nonsense.
That's crazy. Just take the suspension. Just take it. At this point, just take it, man. Like you're already like pushing it back so much that like we're creeping in the next season now. Like if you get suspended and like you're gonna like ruin 2 seasons potentially, or like the start of another one. I don't think it'll get that far, but like I don't know.
So that's the thing, right? Like if he hadn't gotten this second restraining order, after the appeal failed, he would have come back in time for Thanksgiving, which gives them the whole final month of the season,
right, to put something together
to get in there. And now, the 2 weeks later, now we're talking about potentially missing the whole final third of this year.
Yeah.
And that is like
that's bad.
That's bad. I mean, it's great for us Eagles fans,
right? And Giants fans and Redskins fans.
But it's such a stupid thing that management is letting him do.
I think the thought, and I don't know, like I think the thought is, don't start the suspension on a bye because that doesn't count for a game, right? So I think that their thinking was, and this is my like game theorizing this, like I think their thinking was start the suspension on a week where there is a game and then go 6 straight weeks and then do it that way. Because like him not being in the building for an extra week might hurt the team more, or like maybe they want him there for other reasons. Because he wouldn't have been allowed in the building at all.
Correct.
Over the bye. So I don't know if it's got something to do with that, but this is worse in my opinion. Like just to eat the suspension, do your 6 weeks. It really is stupid or whatever. Whatever. Like just get it over with, pull the Band-Aid off as quickly as possible, and then maybe you get to play in the playoffs, you know? But you're going to be coming back from a 6-week suspension, like, if the Cowboys make the playoffs, and then you gotta play cold, like both in like literally and figuratively. Like you're not going to be warmed up with the game of football in mind, right? Like it's a lot harder to. We saw it with what's his name, Le'Veon Bell. Like it took him like 3 weeks to like, oh, I'm a running back again. I forgot, right?
And now he's balling hard.
Yeah, it's crazy now.
But yeah, so stay tuned, I guess, to see what happens. I obviously, because we're in the NFC East, we're monitoring that very, very carefully. But yeah, it's. I would have just taken like 6 weeks. Okay, fine, we can recover after that. Like, just let it. This is, again, you said it in so many words, very eloquently. So I will move on until there's more to say about this next week when he gets another 2-week restraining order, or
some other thing, some other stupid thing.
Additional Wendy's waiver wire snags you want, brought to you by Wendy's. Orleans Darkwa of the New York Football Giants,
confusingly not of the New Orleans Saints. He should have thought about that when he was getting drafted by a team.
Smart. I'm going to keep this brief on Darkwa because we actually have a reader question. A listener question about him later. But Darkwa has pseudo-established himself as the number one back out in New York. And even though their line is still he's put together 2 pretty good games so far. And I think he's worth a flyer pickup if you need some running back depth. But again, we're going to get to Darkwa later in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Deonta Foreman of the Houston Football Texans.
The Houston Football Texans.
This season so far, 50 carries for 200 yards, 3 catches for 68. On its surface, you're like,
yeah,
that's okay. But in the limited time that he's had, he's put together some great gameplay footage, some highlights, if you will. And Lamar Miller, in my experience of having him in some other seasons of fantasy football, is always guaranteed to miss at least 4 games. And Deonta Foreman and that offense are looking really good. So again, if you have a slot for some depth and you need some running back help as we're getting into the deeper season, players are getting hurt, bye weeks are coming harder and faster.
Yeah,
he's a good guy that can definitely pop for a couple points and potentially an RB2/flex position.
Yeah, he'll score one of these days.
Yeah, he still hasn't scored, but he'll get there. Like you said, with Watson, it's just a matter of time when these guys get points.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, Juju Smith-Schuster.
I would pick him up just for the awesome Kamehameha football touchdown celebration he did. That's not very fantasy smart, but who said we're smart around here?
On the season, again, not a very immediately impressive stat line. 15 catches, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've seen being in the eastern Pennsylvania area, we get a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers games. Yeah, and Juju is getting a lot of snaps against teams and potentially on the field more than Martavis Bryant.
Yeah.
And I think those numbers are going to go up quite a bit as the season goes on. And Antonio's still going to get his, but you should look for Juju to add on to this 15-192-2 line as we get farther and farther through the halfway point of the season here.
Yeah, he's looking like the better of that group of receivers that were drafted, 2 years ago or whatever. There's a whole group of Treadwell and him and the guy from Washington who is terrible, Josh Doxson.
Right.
He's looking like the better of those group of wide receivers. Martavis Bryant might get traded. Also, they're talking about that.
That's the other thing, right? Yeah, he said he wants to get traded. Then he said he doesn't want to get traded. Then his girlfriend or fiance was like, "Oh, he wants to get traded," and everybody was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah. So I don't know.
And though they are on a bye this week,
oh God, look who's back!
The Detroit Lions Wide receiver Kenny Galladay is someone you should be looking for on the waiver wire. We don't know how long Golden Tate's going to be out for. That ACL sprains are kind of tough to judge. You could be back within a few weeks, and it might be longer.
Right.
But I think Galladay is going to get the targets. He's been out himself with a hamstring injury for the past few weeks, but with the bye week to get some added rest, I think he comes back next week and puts up a very respectable game.
Oh man, check this prediction out. Whoa.
That's a stash. That's a sneaky stash, because lots of times guys aren't picking up players on bye weeks on your waiver wire, right?
That's real smart.
So that's the Wendy's waiver wire snags you want, brought to you by Wendy's. Now we got the old Don't Bite Ons. We don't have a sponsor for this yet. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what Don't Bite On should be. But we've got 3 players that, though you might think they look appealing, aren't necessarily ready for your team. And that is, number 1, tight end, Detroit Lions, Eric Ebron.
Trust me, you don't want Eric Ebron. Eric Ebron, they don't throw to him. They just don't. And when they do, he does okay. But it's been my experience with Eric Ebron that on a weekly basis, you can't start him. He doesn't get enough points. Like, it's no points.
And again, this is the Lions are on a bye. Ebron's a guy that you would say, oh, with Golden Tate's out, the target's got to go somewhere. But Ebron, he's going to have a game or two every year where he puts up numbers, and you're like, yes, this guy. And then he gets two catches, 12 yards.
Yes, exactly.
So even though you might need some tight end help, there are other guys out there you should be looking for that we have recommended in the past, or that we will recommend in the future. San Francisco 49ers running back Matt Breida.
Yeah.
I like this guy. I do. But I don't want you to bite on him because it looked for a minute like Carlos Hyde might be on the trade block and Breida might be coming into the feature role. That doesn't seem to be the case. And while Breida has put up some good number, 34 carries, 141 yards, 10 catches, 64 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know that that small of a sample size and that number 2 role is going to be good enough to earn a pickup.
Yeah. San Francisco is also like wholesale fire sailing their team right now. Like, they're like, everyone must go. I don't know if they're like stockpiling picks or whatever, but like, maybe Carlos Hyde gets traded. Maybe he gets traded. Like, at this point, whatever's going on with the 49ers, it's just too crazy to like rely on like one running back starting at any week. Like, who knows?
Agree completely. But if Carlos Hyde gets traded, sorry.
Well, sorry, then
Matt Breida or Breida. I believe it's Breida.
Breida? It looks like it's Breida.
Yeah. We don't get the Al Michaels phonetic pronunciations, nor do we get too many San Francisco 49ers games out here, so I don't hear anybody actually say his name ever.
Yeah.
And I would also not bite on Green Bay quarterback Brett Hundley.
Yeah, that would be silly.
At least not yet.
I don't know. I like Brett Hundley. Like, I remember when he got drafted, and I thought maybe the Eagles might draft him like later as like before the whole Carson Wentz thing was a thing, like way early on in the phase of the draft. And like, I don't know, he plays like well in the preseason.
That's exactly what you want out of out of a player.
Yeah, but like, if you're gonna replace him like for Aaron Rodgers, if you're gonna replace Aaron Rodgers with him, like, you're crazy. It's just not gonna. It's not gonna. Get another quarterback is what I'm saying. Don't start him.
Yeah, I mean, with the explosion of the second-year quarterbacks and some of the other rookie quarterbacks in the league, you should have enough depth on your team at this point that you don't need to go searching for Brett Hundley help.
Right.
And especially not after week 1. Now, again, this is something where even Aaron Rodgers in his first appearance in the NFL, played tremendously bad. But Hundley, 1 touchdown, 3 picks.
Yeah.
He looked very lost, I'll say, to be kind. And I don't know if that's going to be able to be fixed in 1 week. So keep your eyes on him, though. Just don't bite on him now.
Yeah, he might turn out to be decent, but
I don't think he's going to help you win your fantasy football league no matter what.
Right. He's not Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately. He's not Aaron Rodgers for the Packers and anyone who had Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and that division is very, very tough defensively. Even though the Lions got mauled last week.
Yeah, that was
all those points were scored against the offense. So
that was a weird game, man. That was weird.
But that, my friends, brings us to your favorite part of the show.
Yes.
The Monster Game of the Week, sponsored by Monster Ultra.
Oh, yeah.
0 calories, 0 sugar, ultra refreshment. Monster Ultra. Monster Game of the Week, sponsored by Monster Ultra. We put up the poll. You had 4 players to pick from, and you picked Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown, 8 receptions, 155 yards, and 1 touchdown.
And that touchdown is one weird touchdown. What a crazy touchdown. Like, how do you defend that? How do you defend against that?
They did defend against it.
They should have intercepted it, I guess, but like that's a scary man, dude. That's why he goes like number 1, right? Like, that's just a crazy play. It was ridiculous. One-handed, left-handed catch, and then he runs it. Like, that's insane. He's a robot.
Left-handed catch off a great deflection. Defense played that very well.
Perfectly.
Almost anybody else in the NFL, and that's just a straight incompletion.
Right.
But Antonio Brown is beastly.
He's insane.
And he did it. And I'm so glad I have him in 1 league. Is a PPR monster. He's a deep threat monster. He's a yardage monster. He's a touch. He does literally everything.
What's insane about him is defenses just double, triple cover this guy, and he catches 8 receptions a game. Like, how are you catching that many freaking receptions when they're clearly guarding the hell out of you? And Ben freaking Roethlisberger is the quarterback, and he looks like an old freaking man right now who just can't do anything.
Oh yeah, for certain, he looks bad, and he'll finish a game with 280 yards, and 150 of them went to Antonio Brown.
It's insane. Just put half of your defense on that guy if you're playing the Steelers.
But then who covers Le'Veon Bell?
That doesn't matter, it seems, either, because that guy ran for an insane amount. It could have also gone. Was he on the list too? Was he?
I don't think I had him on the list this week, but he had a very good day himself.
I have him in my other league. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell, 32 carries, 179, and a touchdown. And if the receptions tab would load here, I could tell you how many receptions he also had, but I can't. Yeah, but now, there we go. 3 for 12. So he didn't have a tremendous amount of receptions, but 190 scrimmage yards.
It's a lot of yards.
It's a lot of yards.
It's some points.
And this is a guy that skipped, like we said, most of
3 games, 4 games,
the preseason, and then showed up in week 1 and looked bad. Yeah. Took a lot of carries to do anything in week 2, and now he's finally in football shape.
Sure.
As they enter the second month of this week, we're kind of coming to a close of the second month of the season, and he's just gonna Le'Veon Bell the shit out of you.
Yeah, I don't know. The Steelers are such a weird team. They're so weird. They have these 2 amazing offensive players, and they'll still find a way to lose games. Weirdly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is, fuck the Steelers. Sorry, Steelers fans.
And with every Monster Game of the Week sponsored by Monster Ultra, there must also be a boner roster move of the week sponsored by Fleshlight. Fleshlight promises to do much better with your boners than your roster. This week's boner roster move of the week sponsored by Fleshlight. Arguably a boner roster move of the year to this point.
Tell me about it.
Amari Cooper.
I have him. I have him in my one league.
5 catches, Cooper. 28 yards, and it's not looking good for him this year.
No, it's looking really, really bad. Like he has caught 0 touchdowns, I don't think. Maybe he has 1. Let me look. Amari Cooper has 1 touchdown. That's it? Yeah, that's it. That's terrible. That's freaking horrible. He's caught 146 yards total.
Oof.
That's ridiculous. I think you and I could catch 146 yards over 7 games, 6 games, whatever it winds up being.
I would still wager against that, but
barring death, barring our whole bodies exploding from getting hit, we could do it.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna do it.
Terrible.
Yeah, but 5 receptions last week, though that matched his season high. He only put up 28 yards. Prior to that, he had 1 catch for 8 yards, 2 catches for 9 yards, 1 catch for 6 yards.
Oh, my God.
And this is a guy that has otherwise been fantastic and reliable in the NFL, and particularly for the Raiders.
I think Nelson Aguilar played a guitar solo with the devil to steal Amari Cooper's receiving power, because this is a topsy-turvy freaking season so far. Like Amari Cooper, who's like a Pro Bowler, looks like hot dog shit, and like Nelson Aguilar is like, I'll just catch a touchdown every game. Like, what universe is this? It's crazy.
It's the world we live in today.
It's crazy. I don't know what to do with him. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
No. Go ahead.
I don't know what to do with him. Should I get rid of him, Luke? You got to tell me what to do. I don't know what to do with him.
I mean, look at where we are.
I'm thinking about it.
If you can find somebody to sell him on, that's like, oh no, he's gonna turn it around. If you could find somebody that buys into that, but I mean, you can't play him.
I know you can't. It's a fool's endeavor to play him. You
can't play him. You can't play him, especially when he's the boner roster move of the week, sponsored by Fleshlight. And now that we've led into week 7, it's time for listener questions.
Oh yeah, listener questions.
Thank you, everyone, for using the hashtag week711. And I'd say thanks for the emails, but none of you sent any. So maybe next week you guys will like us.
Why didn't they send any emails in?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was just not an email week. I heard from one person that they couldn't find the email address, but I'll tell you a little secret, guys. The email address is in the bottom of every YouTube video description. As long as right alongside my Twitter handle, Josh's Twitter handle, and the official FFFFF podcast Twitter handle.
Yeah.
So if you ever forget what it is,
that's where you look, or just ask one of us.
fantasyfootballfantasypod@gmail.com. But you use the hashtag, you use the tweeter, and we got questions anyway. And our first comes from Australian Rules Football's Matt Tilby at It's Tilby. Now that Aaron Rodgers is done, are any Packers worth investing in?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I would say yes. Probably. I would probably still have like Jordy Nelson. Running backs, whoever's running the ball for them, like Ty Montgomery or the new guy, Aaron Grimes, right?
Aaron Jones.
Jones, sorry. Aaron Grimes is another guy. maybe them, but I mean, they're going to still like try to score points, and they're still the Packers, so they're not. This isn't like the Jets or something, or the Browns. So I would still hang on to the more decent players that they have, if you have them or if you can get them. I don't think anybody's going to get rid of like Jordy Nelson because Rodgers isn't playing. So I would hang on to him.
Yeah, if you have them, for sure. Oddly enough, Jordy Nelson was pretty much the only player that has a reasonable stat line from 2013 when Rodgers had the same collarbone on the opposite side.
Right.
In that time frame of 8 games, he put up 598 yards and 1 touchdown.
Okay.
As the season stands right now, he's got 290 yards and 6 touchdowns.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
It's a lot of touchdowns. And both he and Davante Adams, who was not in the league or on the Packers in 2013,
right?
He has 5 touchdowns and 339 yards this year. Randall Cobb just missed too many games himself in 2013,
right?
But he currently has 246 yards and 1 touchdown. I think you can reasonably expect the targets will be there for Nelson and Adams. I think the receptions and the yardage
will be there. Yeah,
it'll be there, but it's going to be less. I think. I don't know that they're going to be like an offensive powerhouse.
No. But the touchdowns are going to.
Yeah, the touchdowns. I would be very surprised if, particularly that pace is almost unsustainable, even with Rodgers. But
yeah, that's like that's a lot of touchdowns for 2 players over 6 weeks. That's crazy. 11 touchdowns. That's insane.
But like Josh says, if you have them already, obviously, they're still worth playing if it looks like you need to play them.
Right.
But I wouldn't be putting out any offers for these guys to trade for them at all. And I would definitely be wary about the running back situation. But that's a different question we have coming up later in this section. You didn't spoil it. No, it was good. You just teased it a little bit.
I teased it.
I was sticking with the Aaron Rodgers theme here a little bit early on with at Bosby. Should I hold on to Rodgers if I also already have Cam Newton and Kirk Cousins? He tweeted us what his roster breakdown was. They have no IR, and his roster slots are very limited. And my advice is cut him loose.
Yeah, I would get rid of him. I'm not convinced he's gonna play this year. Like, I know that they're like, see, what worries me in the NFL is like when teams start to play this like weird kind of like game with injuries, because like definitively speaking, like if someone gets hurt bad enough, like okay, their season's over. They've been teasing this Rodgers like it's gonna be 8 weeks. I mean, eight weeks from now is week 15. Like, are the Packers gonna be in the hunt for the playoffs in week 15? I don't know, but like, is Rodgers gonna be able to play with his like when it happened in 2013? It was his non-throwing arm. Now it's his throwing arm. I'm not convinced he's coming back, so I would just get rid of him because like you have Newton and Cousins. Like, Cousins is insane. Hopefully not this week, but he's great. So
no, yeah, I mean it's even if it's a keeper league, I think maybe you hold on to Rodgers for that aspect.
Right.
I don't know 100%. I mean, you know what your rest of your roster looks like, but you got to cut Rodgers at this point, especially if you need the roster space, and particularly because keeping him there gets you 0 points.
Yeah, you could literally pick up anyone and get 1 point more, which is better than 0 points. So.
Right. And, even if the person you pick up in his place, you don't play every week, you are adding points to your team to win.
Yeah.
And even if Rodgers comes back, we're talking about coming back maybe the final 2 weeks of the 2-3 weeks of the season.
I doubt it though.
And I like Josh, I highly doubt it. And also your fantasy football playoffs are
they're done. Yeah.
Likely also toasted.
Sorry about Aaron Rodgers, everybody. What a crazy season for fantasy football.
It is. Oh, Friction Spark. I can answer your question right now because we're live.
Yeah.
The only reason that I bring up sending us emails as opposed to tweets is we want you guys to feel as much a part of the show as Josh and I are, and in talking about our teams and talking about our rosters. And tweets are great because we hashtag everything, and we obviously aren't like a huge following anyway, so it's not that hard for me to follow the timeline. Right. But I like it when people can elaborate a little bit more on their teams than you can in 140 or 280 characters. There's a lot you can get out of an email with regards to, hey, my team's doing great. I got all these questions.
Right.
And instead of just like tweeting us one question, over and over again. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Any interaction you have with us is fantastic. Yeah. I feel like emails, you can give us a little bit more of a sense of your team, who you are, and how your season's going.
Yeah, what are you thinking? Sometimes like you want to pick up a guy and we need like a little context. Like maybe you want to put a little context as to why you're thinking about getting that guy or dropping him or whatever. And it's hard to do in 140 characters. You're just wind up running out of space real quick. So emails are good for that.
Emails are better for that. Which reminds us, the listener question from Banale7. Another fantasy football commentator, host person, Mr. Fantasy, Mr. Roto, Matthew Berry, works for ESPN and about 100 other places. When did Matthew Berry become a caricature?
Well, when did ESPN start firing everybody?
I think that's a little unfair. I like Matthew Berry's personality. I like how open he is and how much fun he has with it, because he a lot of, not necessarily hosts on ESPN, but a lot of fantasy people, football, baseball, what have you, take it so seriously because so many of the readers do.
Right.
And, Barry kind of gets like how ludicrous it is that fantasy has basically given him such an incredible job and a lifeline.
It would be like one of us like being on television to talk about like Lord of the Rings characters or something. Like some ridiculous, like, who's your favorite Harry Potter character or something like that. I gotta be honest with you, I don't know Matthew Berry. I watch ESPN a lot, but I don't see him. I don't know him from anything. What is he on?
Well, he's like one of their lead fantasy guys. So he's on like their fantasy football show. He has a lot of online content.
Okay.
He does a weekly thing called Love Hate, which he puts out. It's like players I love this week, players I hate this week, which has always been one of my favorite articles to read. It goes up after our show, so I can't crib it. And he's been on stuff like he's been on The League in a cameo role.
Yeah.
And he used to write for soap operas. I think he used to write for like Guiding Light. Like that's where like he got his start.
All right.
And then, but that fantasy, and he does the Fantasy Movie League, which I like a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
So again, I think he's a nice guy. I would I like him a lot more than some other personalities that ESPN has.
Yeah.
Look, I get it. It's a job. It's your job. You want to take it very seriously. But like, we're talking about fantasy football.
Yeah.
And if you don't have fun with it, you end up like those guys we were talking about last week, where it's like, oh man, you only had one catch, fucking Larry Johnson. Why don't you run for more yards? And then like you end up with this like disposition of thinking that you're bigger than the players.
Right. Like your opinion dictates what happens in a infinitely changing universe where that's what I always kind of like thought was like ridiculous about any of the fantasy stuff that they present on television is like a lot of times like the opinions become like fact, and it's like we're already talking about sports, which is like a game anyway that really doesn't matter, right? Like football like could go away and we'd all still probably like find other things to do, but now you're talking about like a made up game within the game. So it's like I think it's kind of like nice that like people have like a sense of humor about that, because like seriously, like it should be fun. Like sports should be fun, you know. It sucks when like your team loses in your favorite sport, but like at the end of the day, like you still get to watch like a fun game, and it's an experience, right? It's a good mentality to have, especially for a Philadelphia sports fan.
Hey-o. Oh man, Chase Utley just got hit by another pitch. So I have the game on. This dude loves getting hit by pitches.
That's his whole career.
That is his whole career. He hasn't had like a hit in the whole playoffs, but he got hit by a pitch. It's
that
all
counts.
good.
It totally counts. You get to be on base, so it counts.
Now we've got a question here from and yeah, I'm gonna butcher this Twitter name, but Nagler Nagel R, and which we addressed at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Which is if and when Zeke is suspended, Morris or McFadden. Again, I inquire you to rewind and listen to the beginning of the show where we talked about it. But again, Josh and I are firmly in the Morris camp.
Yeah.
Zach Morris for school president.
Yeah, Zach Morris for school president, not AC McFadden Slater.
DMC Slater.
Oh my God, that's like very complicated.
All right, moving right along. It's our buddy at Heck You Paul.
Heck you, Paul.
Better flex play this week: Cameron Brate or Demaryius Thomas?
Oh, I know who you're gonna pick.
Well, you know who I'm picking.
And I think I would pick him also because he's been great for the past 2 weeks. He's been like crazy.
Well, who are we talking about?
Brate.
Cameron Brate.
Yeah, Cameron Brate. I don't know what Demaryius Thomas is up to lately. Let's look at them.
All right, so for the season, Demaryius Thomas, 28 catches, 380 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
Cameron Brate, 21 catches, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns, all in the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
Cameron Brate has been unbelievably hot.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing for a tight end. Like I'm a big, I always say this, I'm a big tight end in fantasy football. Like I think your tight ends need to score touchdowns to get the points, unless you have like Jason Witten from like 10 years ago when they were just throwing him the ball all the time. I think where you make your money with the tight end is in the red zone when they can get open over the middle, and then there's that quick throw and a touchdown. So touchdowns, I think, weigh my opinion more with the tight end than maybe like say a wide receiver, because like if you're in a PPR league especially, you could get lots of points from them just catching the ball. So
sure. Cameron Brate does not have a sample size against the Buffalo Bills, who they're playing this week. But Demaryius Thomas does have against the Chargers. 14 games in his career, he's put up 59 receptions, 836 yards, and 8 touchdowns. That's who they're playing this week, is the Los Angeles Chargers. And Emmanuel Sanders is out. And granted, Demaryius Thomas is playing with Trevor Siemian, who is a lesser quarterback than every quarterback Demaryius has played with to this point in his career. But as Josh and I are saying, Cameron Brate has to this point in the year been very touchdown dependent. And luckily he's been getting touchdowns, and luckily I've been very happy with that performance.
Yeah, luckily you beat me with him single-handedly.
I did. It was great. Cameron Brate, the great Cameron Brate. It's a tough call, though, because eventually Cameron's luck with touchdowns is going to run out. And I don't want it to be this game, and you don't know what game it's going to be.
It's a Russian roulette situation here. Like when's it gonna stop, right? Like when is he gonna? And that's pretty much it. Like if he doesn't score a touchdown, like I don't think Brate's gonna get the points you need for him, right?
yeah.
Like I don't think he's gonna get. Yeah, he's not gonna get a lot of receptions. So that's that's the shitty thing.
He's averaging what just under 3 catches a game. Just under 4 catches a game, and Demaryius is almost to 30 catches and 6, so he's about closer to 5.
Right.
The targets are there for Demaryius no matter who's throwing. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to be completions.
Yeah, that's maybe where Trevor Siemian comes into play. Trevor Siemian is I don't know what to think about that guy. I don't know.
He had a great start to the year, and he's just been very sub-average since. So, I'm sticking with my guy. I'm sticking with Cameron Brate. I think Josh is as well.
Yeah, I would stick with Brate.
He's hot. He's playing well, and he's clearly going to be, even if Jameis Winston doesn't play and it's still Ryan Fitzpatrick was still looking his way a lot in that game. So, again, these are just suggestions. We cannot be held accountable for the losses you take.
Don't worry, we're taking our own losses. So.
But our money's on Cameron Brate for your flex slot this week. Now here's a great question from the Cheese Man himself.
Oh, Cheese
of all trades. He made us cheese millionaires this week.
Oh my god, I want that Dill Havarti so badly.
You'll get it.
Oh my god.
What is your best memory of a backup QB filling in for an injured starter?
I think I know what yours is. It might be the same as mine.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think it was 2003, and it was McNabb got hurt, and it was the 49ers game on like a Monday night or something like that, and McNabb got hurt the week before, and Coy Detmer was going to start, and everyone's like, well, pack it in, boys. The Eagles are done. And then Coy Detmer came in and played like crazy. And he won, and he like got him ahead. And then he got hurt in that game. And then freaking AJ Feely came in.
That's right.
It looked like third string Jesus. And he played the remainder of the year, I think, until McNabb came back in the playoffs. And I think the Eagles lost in the NFC Championship game for the second time in a row. I think it was that year. I don't think it was 04 when they went to the Super Bowl. I don't feel like it was that.
No,
maybe
04 was the Super Bowl year, yeah.
Yeah, that was the Super Bowl year, but I don't remember what year all this crazy third string quarterback shit happened.
Okay, I do remember. This is not the game that I picked, but I do, of course, remember AJ Feely because at the time, Philadelphia had a women's soccer team, the Philadelphia Charge. And AJ Feely dated my favorite player, the world's most beautiful Philadelphia soccer player, Heather Mitts.
Heather Mitts. What a great sports name.
And I saw them in Rittenhouse Square together, and she was absolutely beautiful.
I'm looking up Heather Mitts. I don't know Heather Mitts.
But she ended up marrying AJ Feely. AJ Feely, if you don't remember, went on to go play, I want to say, for the Rams.
He played for the
Miami.
Dolphins. He played for the Dolphins. Yeah.
Yes, he played for the Dolphins. They made him like the guy, the number one guy out there. Oh, he did play for the Rams too. That's right. I knew it. I knew it. His career finished with the Rams, and in 2010. So that was that for him. But
AJ feel me.
My most memorable, and it's not because it was a good memory per se, was in the year 2000.
Sure.
When Randall Cunningham was the backup for Troy Aikman.
Oh my God.
And they came to Philadelphia, and Randall Cunningham faced off
against the Eagles,
against Donovan McNabb. And in a hard-fought dogfight of a game that ended up going overtime.
Yeah.
And the Eagles won 16-13. And this was at a time in Philadelphia history when we hadn't gotten to the point where we cheered for players that left or that we like ran out of. Not that we ran Randall out of town, but like we didn't cheer for players that left and came back with it like we do now. Like we do that with guys like Chase Utley. We did it with Jimmy Rollins. We've done it with a number of players that like went away and came back to play here, and it was like, yeah, you're back, all right. You know, I mean, Christ, Chase Utley, or was it Chaser or Chooch that hit like a home run on their team against the Phillies, and they got a standing ovation.
Yeah, like that. Like you don't hear about that in Philly, but I mean, it helps to win.
Randall got booed.
Yeah, because it's the Cowboys, right? Like that's
I know.
Because it was the Cowboys. It would have if it were the Vikings.
And that was just such a bad way to like.
Yeah, it sucks.
And that was like the end of Randall's career. It was the post Minnesota time when they were really great. But that's my memory that it was most significant. I wouldn't. It's probably not like I know it's not my best, but it's like the one that like sticks out.
Yeah,
you know, like we all remember Bobby Hoying going out and giving the original like discount double check, right? Remember that?
Jesus Christ, Bobby freaking Hoying. But this is only like 2 or 3 years removed from Bobby Hoying. So Eagles fans at this point in time, fucking miserable. Like the Eagles were not yet really good. Like I think it was 2000, 2001 when like you were like, oh, okay, this team is really good. So when Eagles fans are happy, the booing is less. When Eagles fans are unhappy, obviously the booing is crazy more. And at this point in Eagles history, from your story, I think I was an Eagles fan my whole life, so I understand the heartache. I remember when Randall was on the Cowboys, and it was a little tough to swallow for me. I love Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
So fuck the Cowboys.
Boom, nailed it. All right, here we go from @Johnny Ketchum. Should I pick up Orleans Darkwa or Aaron Jones? And I hinted that this question was coming.
Yes.
And my money is on Orleans Darkwa.
I agree with that. There's too many running backs on Green Bay to know like what's going on, who's going to run it. So
yeah, Ty Montgomery and Aaron Jones, I think, are really going to be a committee approach. And it's going to depend on the game flow. Are they behind? Montgomery's going to play, get those receptions. Are they establishing the run? Jones might be in there because he's got the higher yards. There's a lot of factors there. Now, that's not to say that stuff also isn't happening in New York, where they have like 17 running backs and all of them are terrible.
Shane Vereen's goat mummy is in the game still. He's about 107 years old.
Well, over the last few weeks, Orleans has sort of set himself up as the 1A over everyone else, right? In his last 2 weeks, 42 I'm sorry, not the last 2 weeks, but over the season, and primarily over the last 2 weeks, 42 carries, 239 yards, and a touchdown. Now, a lot of that came last week when the Giants destroyed Denver in Denver and looked like a competent NFL team for the first time in like 10 games.
What a weird game. Like, I think like this is like a trap question because like I don't know if the Giants or the Packers are going to be able to like piece this like Humpty Dumpty season that they both have back together again. But maybe that means that Dark was just going to get a lot of touches then, because like or maybe Aaron Jones becomes like the guy. So I don't know. It's like it's very up in the air, which in fantasy football is very not a good thing. Because you want to mitigate the chances of something weird happening. And these two teams are both super weird right now. And I know nothing about the future of their franchises at this point. So that makes me nervous. But I would go with Darkwood just because like he looks like the better running back for them.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Like, and I was leaning a little bit towards Aaron Jones when he first started getting carries this season. But in addition to losing Rodgers, that Green Bay line is just devastated.
That whole team is just like a walking corpse. Like they're dropping hard.
Yeah, and I know it's just one game, but the Giants looked like they may be getting their shit together
I hope
enough. Well, getting their shit together enough that I think Darkwa is a better bet for consistent points.
Yeah.
From a fantasy football perspective.
Sure.
For the rest of the season. I
agree with that.
If he's not available, that's not to say, though, you couldn't take a flyer on Jones.
Yeah, I have Jones. I haven't used him, but I don't really have a choice, and I don't have any better options. Like, I don't know. Maybe in that league, Dark was available. But I don't know if I would, like, is it even worth me to, like, click the button to drop Jones to get Darkwa? Right. Like, I don't know, right? Like, it's weird.
If you have one of them already, you're probably fine.
Yeah.
If you're looking for running back depth, both of them are available. We both lean Darkwa. If only one is available, then yeah, I think there's still both good depth adds at this point. With Darkwa being slightly favored, given that he's showing consistent number one tendencies. Think about that.
That's a great sentence.
We got another question from our friend at Nagler. Should I stick with Breeze this week or run with Alex Smith?
Oh, man. All right. I don't know what Breeze did other than played a crazy game.
Well, he put up like no stats last week because the defense scored all the points. But for the season, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 picks. Pretty Breezian.
Yeah.
You'd like to see more touchdowns out of Breeze?
Yeah, you would think.
But a fairly Breezian stat line.
Mm-hmm. I would go Smith. He's looking like the MVP. Last week he didn't look like the MVP, but I mean now that especially that Rodgers is gone. I have Smith in our league, and he puts up pretty good points. So I would go with Smith just because, like, I don't think the Saints. I don't know what the Saints are right now. I don't know what's going on with the Saints.
They apparently have an incredible defense? Question mark.
Apparently.
All right. So Drew Brees, career versus Packers, who they're playing this week. 2,200 yards. In 6 games, 2,200 yards.
That's insane.
17 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions.
Okay. In 6 games. Okay.
2,200 yards.
How many yards is that per game?
In 6 games. That's almost 400 yards a game.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay. Alex Smith for the season. Still hasn't thrown a pick, 12 touchdowns, no picks, 1,600 yards. Career versus the Raiders in 10 games, including some time in San Francisco. 2,100 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 4 picks. So very, very similar touchdown-interception ratios. The lean with Breeze goes heavy on the yardage.
Right.
But those were Aaron Rodgers teams.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be as much of a gun show as they were in the past.
Yeah.
So I would run Alex Smith this week.
Yeah. And the Raiders are looking weird also. They're not doing great. I don't know if Derek Carr is going to.
The Raiders are a weird team. They did just add Navarro Bowman, who was cut from the 49ers for reasons.
Sure. I guess something happened.
I wish the fucking Eagles would have picked him up.
That would have been nice, but.
Yeah, I can understand wanting to stay in Oakland just because you finished the year.
You don't have to worry about
moving.
Yeah, I would go with Smith. I think Smith's a pretty good bet this year. I was one of the a little wary of Alex Smith just because it's Alex Smith and you think, oh, he's a game manager, right? That's what they call him.
Yeah.
He's not a game manager this year. So I would roll Smith almost like every week if you have him, just because.
Yeah, they're surprisingly just stack. I mean, last week I think was a little bit of a not necessarily an aberrant. Like obviously the Chiefs were going to come back down to earth.
Yeah, they had to lose.
But I think the Chiefs we've been seeing in the 5 games before that, or the 4 games before that, are much closer to what they're going to be than the Chiefs you saw last week.
Yeah.
And our final question of the week. Renale7 wants to know, is Christian McCaffrey an RB1 in PPR?
So his question basically is, can I have a third or fourth wide receiver on his team, depending on what he runs in his flex? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Because he catches a lot.
That's true. You want to know how much he catches?
Yeah.
He is first in the NFL in targets for a running back with 50.
Okay.
He is first in the NFL with receptions by a running back with 37. He is second in the NFL in receiving yards with 293, behind only Chris Thompson, who has like 370.
Okay.
He's had a couple really great reception games. All right. He has the 10th most points by a running back. He's a top 10 running back on ESPN PPR. But 10th place is 40 points behind Le'Veon Bell, who has like 120 something points in PPR to McCaffrey's 80 in PPR, because Bell actually gets all the rushing yards.
Right.
McCaffrey only has like 100 yards rushing on the season, but has nearly 300 yards receiving. Based on that, though, I mean, definitely the number one running back in PPR. He's an RB1.
Receptions, yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, the guy is going to get. I have him in the one league, and the PPR is the only reason.
What a Andy Reid-esque / Doug Peterson-esque strategy for fantasy football. Have a running back that's like Sproles or like McCaffrey, and just throw it to him, like slot him out there as like a flanker, and just throw him the ball, and like that's some like some is football changing type of shit right there, man. Like, I don't know.
That Bill Walsh West, like, why should I try to run it for 4 yards when I can throw it for 6?
Right. Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Like, he's the only one in the league you're probably going to be able to do that with.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I don't think I would. If it were Sproles, like, I don't think I would. Maybe I would. I think. I don't know if Sproles were still around. Do you think you'd be doing the same thing with him? Do you think that question would apply to Darren Sproles?
I don't think Darren Sproles is a running back one in PPR. I mean, even in the years prior when he was like a super target, he was at best at his prime like a running back 2/flex, because you know, receptions are great, but he's not getting any super yardage, and he hardly got any TDs. Now, Darren Sproles, though, had the advantage of being a special teams player, so you would get those points as well.
He won me 1 week because he got a punt return, and I was like, I'm a fucking genius.
Brilliant.
Like, I had anything to do with it.
Brilliant. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey seems to be a legit fantasy player. I don't know if this is, I mean, they drafted him to be a true
running back,
you know, to be a feature, not necessarily a true running, but to be the feature back, right? Like the guy that's on the field the most.
To scare people.
I see his career going much more along the lines of a Sproles or a Danny Woodhead, in that they'll be on the field, they'll get you stats, but you aren't going to build a team around this guy.
No, it's not like Leonard Fournette, where you're like, just give the guy the ball and he'll just run for 90 yards in one clip. So yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting strategy that like you kind of get to have with him. Makes it fun, makes the game a little more fun. 4 wide receivers, just fuck it, all wide receivers,
all wide receivers, all the time. And that rounds out this week's edition of Listener Questions. Thank you all for sending in your questions using the hashtag. And if you feel like emailing us, email us. And if you feel like using a hashtag, hashtag it. Be on the lookout for the Week 8 hashtag late Monday night, early Tuesday morning. And the same with the next vote for the Monster Game of the Week, sponsored by Monster Ultra. And now we're coming down to the final stretch here, Josh. It's time for the week. Oh, I should update this. There we go. Week
it's all right.
7 predictions for the biggest.
Week 1.
Let me go over last week's stuff here. Last week, Josh picked Matt Ryan, Chris Thompson, Chris Hogan, and Zach Ertz. Matt Ryan, 248 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Meh.
Not great.
Chris Thompson, 16 carries for 33 yards, 4 catches for 105 yards.
That's
good
a
day.
lot. That's a
good
lot.
day. Chris Hogan, 1 catch, 19 yards.
Thanks, Chris Hogan. You really came through for me, buddy.
Really, Amari Coopered the hell out of that one. And Zach Ertz, 2 catches for 18 yards, which on its face, you're like, whatever. But those 2 catches, both for touchdowns. So great day for Zach Ertz.
Hell yeah.
My picks for last week, Kirk Cousins, Leonard Fournette, Michael Thomas, and Cameron Brate.
Yeah, you had a really good week.
I had a really good day. Kirk Cousins in ESPN PPR scoring was the #1 quarterback of the week. 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 40 rushing yards, 1 rushing TD.
Oh my.
Leonard Fournette, 130 yards on the ground with 1 TD.
Okay.
Michael Thomas, 3 catches, 11 yards. Really Chris Hogan the hell out of it that week.
Really Chris Hogan that one.
And Cameron Brate, 6 catches, 76 yards, and his 4th consecutive touchdown.
Cameron freaking Brate over here.
Number 2 tight end in ESPN PPR scoring.
Brate is great.
Brate is great. So we both had solid weeks except for wide receiver. Both of our tight ends, excellent. Both of our running backs, excellent. My quarterback played a little better, but Ryan, 248, 1-1 is not awful.
It's not awful, but it's not great. I would say it's well below his ability. So who are we doing? Are we doing that this week?
So who do you got?
I'm doubling up. I'm gonna go Matt Ryan again at quarterback. Ooh. They're playing the Patriots. I know it's like a rematch. Sunday Night Football, right? Rematch of the Super Bowl. I think it might be a shootout. I'm feeling a shootout vibe going on here. The Patriots defense is pretty bad still. So that's who I'm going with. And then running back, I'm going Leonard Fournette. They're playing the Colts.
Injury pending, of course. He hasn't practiced this week.
That's true. It was his ankle, but he came back in last week. I don't know.
No, they said he could come back in, but he didn't. And Chris Ivory played. But they say it's not serious, but he's not been practicing. So
he might not play then. So I'll pick another one. I'll think of somebody else. We'll come back to me.
If it ends up that he plays, I'll let you keep that for but pick a secondary guy just in case.
Okay. I'm gonna go for a wide receiver. I'm gonna pick Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
From the Chiefs, who are playing the Raiders. I think he's gonna make Amari Cooper jealous. So I'm going to pick him. And tight end, does Jimmy Graham still play for the Seahawks?
Does anybody still play for the Seahawks? Has anybody put any stats up for that team?
They're playing the Giants. So I'm going to say Jimmy Graham. I don't know. I don't know. I'm picking Jimmy Graham. You'll see. You'll see. All of you. You'll see. Okay, I'll pick another running back. Fuck it, man. I'll pick like Mark Ingram or the Saints. They're playing the Packers, so pick Mark Ingram.
All right, Ingram as your 1B.
Yeah, my 1B. I'll write it down.
All right, here we go. Quarterback of the week. I'm finally going to jump on the Wentz wagon.
Oh, fuck yes.
Carson Wentz at home against the Washington football team on Monday night.
Oh, my.
It smells like... smells like points.
Smells like a sweet.
Like points. I'm really nervous about this game, but I wanna see some good stuff. So
if he plays really well, they're gonna give him the keys to the city this week.
Doesn't he already have? He has the keys to Pennsylvania,
which is a little farther west.
Yes. All right, running back this week.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I got to check the injury real quick. I was going to pick this guy, but I want to make sure he's looking good. Okay, yes, running back this week.
Okay.
After the success the Giants had against this team,
oh boy.
I'm picking Melvin Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
Of the Los Angeles Chargers to do almost identical things.
Wow.
Melvin
I always
Gordon
forget about Melvin.
Has been on a tear as of late, and I don't think Denver stops that tear.
Poor Denver.
Yeah, poor Trevor Simeon.
Siemens.
Siemens
first.
For wide receiver. Oh, man. See, I'm not going to pick Alshon because he didn't do good against Washington before.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to do good against Washington this week.
Are you going to pick Nelson freaking Aguilar on me right now?
I am not. I'm only going to pick one guy from one team a week. I'm not going to
double up.
I'm not going to I'm not going to scoop it.
Feels like cheating.
But I will pick Mike Evans to break out of a slump.
Mike Evans? Oh, I hope you're right because I have him. That'd be great. Who are they playing?
They're playing Buffalo, in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Now, it's a slump, right? Like 3 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown is a slump. But like last week, he was really held in check until like one fluky play, right?
Yeah.
New England, he had 5 catches for like nothing. I think this is the week Mike Evans comes back to being Mike Evans.
Mike Evans.
And I like that guy. He seems like a good guy from what I watched of
Hard Knocks. Yeah. I didn't watch the end of it.
Spoilers, they end up being Tampa Bay.
Oh, okay.
Tight end this week.
Jimmy Graham.
No. But if you can believe it,
I'm
going to go with Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Seferian-Jenkins.
He's on the New York Football Jets.
Giants.
New York Football Jets.
Oh, the Jets. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. He was the guy with the fumble.
Yeah, and I'm the fumble, air quotes, fumble. I'm going with Austin Seferian-Jenkins to have a really good game against Miami because Miami is bad.
Yeah, they're real bad.
Bad. And he's had touchdowns in consecutive games, and I think that he wants to come back on track.
Yeah,
and show the world that the Jets aren't as bad as everybody said we were going to be.
That's a way better pick than Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham's going to have a day, I bet.
I bet he is.
Oh, man. Remember when Jimmy Graham had like days all the time?
I do.
Those were the days.
This is like his wrestler moment. He's gonna climb up on that rope and then jump and then have a heart attack, but he's gonna go out a winner, man.
Oh man. All right. That's gonna do it for this week's show. Thank you everybody for tuning in for the live stream. If you missed the live stream or if you want to watch again and see what we had to say, if you came in late, it'll be right here on this YouTube channel as soon as we're done recording. Next week, we're going to be back, obviously. But next week, we have our first guest lined up. Good friend of the show, EGM reviews editor, voice actor, and disappointed New York Football Giants fan, Ray Carcillo, will join us.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine from the area originally, and now he's out on the West Coast. Big fantasy guy, big football guy.
Sweet.
And we're going to have him on the show. We're going to go over some football stuff. He'll be here to help us out with our listener questions and picks of the week.
Awesome.
And that'll be the first of many hopeful guests now that we've kind of settled in and we know where the show's going every week.
Matthew Berry, we're going to get him.
Matthew Berry, Jennifer Lawrence. We're bringing them all. I will sell out to anyone and everyone. It's going to be great.
I'm ready to sell out.
Thank you to our sponsors, Wendy's, Monster Ultra, Fleshlight, and of course, Kevin Storer Distribution.
Yeah.
If you know anyone that wants to sponsor a fantasy football YouTube show with less than 100 subscribers, email us at fantasyfootballfantasypod@gmail.com. We will work for food.
Yes, we will. We aren't too proud to beg.
I would never be too proud to beg.
True that. Me neither. I love that song. Yeah, there it is.
All right. This has been week 7 of the Fantasy Football podcast. I've been co-host Luke Brown.
I'm Josh.
And we'll see you on the flippity flop.
See you next week.
Goodbye.